Welcome to the Stage 6 video series. In this video, we will learn how to use the future perfect simple tense and the future perfect continuous tense. We form the future perfect simple tense using the verb will plus the verb have plus the past participle of a main verb. For example, to make a positive sentence using the main verb to eat, we can say, I will have eaten, you will have eaten, he will have eaten, she will have eaten, it will have eaten, we will have eaten, you will have eaten, they will have eaten. We should also remember that it is common for English speakers to use contractions when speaking. We say, I'll have eaten, you'll have eaten, he'll have eaten, she'll have eaten, it'll have eaten, we'll have eaten, you'll have eaten, they'll have eaten. For negative sentences, we use won't plus have plus the past participle. To make a negative sentence using the verb to eat, we can say, I won't have eaten, you won't have eaten, he won't have eaten, she won't have eaten, it won't have eaten, we won't have eaten, you won't have eaten, they won't have eaten. When we make questions using the future perfect, we also use will plus the subject plus have and the past participle of a main verb. For example, will I have eaten? Will you have eaten? Will he have eaten? Will she have eaten? Will it have eaten? Will we have eaten? Will you have eaten? Will they have eaten? We use the future perfect simple tense when we are thinking about time before and up to a point in the future. When we use the future perfect simple tense, we often use time expressions that refer to a point in the future. For example, we might use the time expressions 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, 3 p.m. tomorrow night, in 10 minutes, in 3 months, at the end of the day, at the end of the year, by the end of the month, by next Friday, by next summer, by next October, in 5 hours' time, in 6 months' time, before my next birthday, before I go home, before our holiday ends. We use the future perfect tense when we want to communicate that an action will be finished or completed before a point in the future. For example, John will have finished his homework by 9 p.m. tonight. In this sentence, the speaker wishes to communicate that sometime between the moment of speaking and 9 p.m., John will finish his homework. At 9 p.m. tonight, John will not be working on his homework. In the sentence, Mary will have graduated from university before her next birthday, the speaker wishes to communicate that sometime between the moment of speaking and Mary's next birthday, Mary will be finished university. On her next birthday, Mary will not be a student at university. When we make sentences using the future perfect continuous tense, we use the verb will plus have plus been plus the present participle of the main verb. For example, if we want to make positive sentences in the future perfect continuous tense using the verb to study, we say, I will have been studying. You will have been studying. He will have been studying. She will have been studying. It will have been studying. We will have been studying. You will have been studying. They will have been studying. When speaking, it is common to contract the subject and the verb to have. So we can also say, I'll have been studying. You'll have been studying. He'll have been studying. She'll have been studying. It'll have been studying. We'll have been studying. You'll have been studying. They'll have been studying. To make negative sentences using the future perfect continuous, we use won't plus have plus been plus the present participle of the main verb. For example, if we make negative sentences using the verb to study, we can say, I won't have been studying. You won't have been studying. He won't have been studying. She won't have been studying. It won't have been studying. We won't have been studying. You won't have been studying. They won't have been studying. To make questions, we must use the verb will plus have plus been plus the present participle of the main verb. For example, to ask questions in the future perfect continuous tense, using the main verb to study, we can say, will I have been studying? Will you have been studying? Will he have been studying? Will she have been studying? Will it have been studying? Will we have been studying? Will you have been studying? Will they have been studying? We use the future perfect continuous tense when we want to communicate that an action will continue up to a point in the future. For example, Sarah will have been living in Ireland for 6 months by the end of this year. In this sentence, Sarah lives in Ireland now. At the end of the year, she will also be living in Ireland. The action will continue. Here is a second example. David will have been driving for 2 hours at 3 o'clock. In this sentence, David is driving now. At 3 o'clock today, David will still be driving. The action will continue up to that point in time in the future. In this video, we have studied the future perfect tenses. We learned that we make the future perfect simple using will plus have plus past participle, and that we use this tense to speak about actions that are completed or finished before a specific point in the future. We also learned that we make the future continuous tense using will plus have plus been plus the present participle. We learned that we use this tense to speak about actions that continue up to a point in the future. This video was brought to you by the Central School of English, an English school in Dublin. For more lessons, go to centralschool.ie.